Welcome back to the Explainer. Okay, today we are going on a truly mind-bending journey. We're stepping into this surreal, fascinating world of shifting physical realities, completely impossible physics, and suffocating infinite bureaucracy. It's a story called The Surveyor's Other Report, and it explores exactly what happens when a rigidly logical system tries to process a reality that, well, fundamentally refuses to be put into a neat little box.
So, can the mere act of measuring a place actually change it? I want you to keep that provocative question right at the front of your problem-solving brain as we meet our protagonist. He's a land surveyor, known to us simply as K, and he's armed with your totally standard tools, a theodolite, a compass, and an official letter of appointment. He arrives at this remote village to do a completely standard job, map the land. But, as you'll see, he is about to realize that standard procedures are absolutely useless here.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the impossible geometry. Right off the bat, things are weird. When the surveyor arrives, he finds his two eager assistants, Ernst and Jeremiah, actually got there before he did, which makes zero sense because they left after him. And the landscape itself, it's literally refusing to be measured. It's behaving as if it has a mind of its own. The assistants drove reference stakes into the ground, but by morning, they're in completely different positions, totally untouched. The surveyor takes out his compass. He is facing the hills where the sun is clearly rising in the east, but the compass stubbornly points north-northwest. Plus, different surveying instruments are yielding uniquely wrong results for the exact same spots. It's as if the land's geometry actively shifts the second it's recorded.
But hold on, because they discover an exact mathematical impossibility. They measure a super simple triangle formed by those three stakes on a flat field. But the internal angles of this triangle, they actually sum up to more than 180 degrees.
Now, if you remember your geometry, a triangle whose angles sum to more than 180 degrees can physically only exist on a curved or spherical surface. But the surveyor is standing on perfectly flat ground. Let's just state this bluntly. This is a total blunt failure of basic physics and Euclidean geometry. It completely cements the absolute absurdity of the situation.
Which brings us to Section 2, the bureaucratic maze.
So, what do you do when physics breaks? Normally, you turn to the authorities, right? But here, the system is actively designed to trap you. And this brilliantly illustrates how the village is stuck in a permanent, infinite loop of administrative purgatory. The village is governed by the mysterious castle administration. Submit a survey and it goes to a sub-registry, becomes a pending determination, and enters a permanent state of ongoing review. There is no step 5 for approved. Ever.
The really crazy part is that this suffocating weight of bureaucracy is an active physical force in the story. The castle prioritizes the form over the messy truth of reality. The postal service, permanently suspended because the routes are under review. The castle itself physically recedes when you try to walk to it. It's mathematically, constantly, exactly one hill away from wherever you stand. And the officials keep sending letters demanding the surveyor reconcile his new data with old impossible data from past surveys. It's complete madness.
All right, let's speed things up as we uncover our first massive clue in Section 3, the land's hidden memory.
Our surveyor doesn't just give up. He meets Amalia, a local woman who inherently knows the village's true boundaries. She takes him out to the fields, and we get this amazing contrast. On one side, you have the official datum, the rigid, geometrically impossible numbers demanded by the castle administration. On the other side, you have the land's datum, the historical, deeply subjective, yet incredibly stable memory of the land itself. Amalia doesn't use space to find the lines. She literally feels shifts in time.
There is this absolutely beautiful passage in the source material, and I want to read it exactly as it's written. The boundaries here aren't spatial, or not only, they're also historical. The land remembers where it was divided. The land has an underlying older truth. When the surveyor starts measuring using the land's remembered lines, instead of the rigid bureaucratic maps, the measurements suddenly hold perfectly. The bizarre physics disappear, the castle's maps completely fail to capture this deeply rooted truth. This pulls us right into the philosophical climax of the explainer. Section 4, the observer effect.
So, the surveyor visits the local church and stumbles upon a hidden notebook left behind by a previous surveyor generations ago, and it details the observer effect, the idea that systems and people alter their behavior the moment they know they are being recorded. We usually apply this to quantum physics, right? But here it's applied socially and bureaucratically. Think about it. Don't you act differently when you know an institution, a boss, or a government agency is actively watching and recording you? The land in this village is doing exactly the same thing.
That old surveyor's notebook reveals a stunning insight. The land resists not the act of measurement, but the finality of it. Those stakes we talked about earlier, they didn't actually move. Instead, the space around them essentially breathed to resist being permanently, irreversibly categorized on a piece of paper. The land doesn't want to be locked down. This is the brilliant breakthrough. Those anomalies on the surveyor's instruments aren't mistakes. They are highly accurate data points of a complex reality refusing a simple label. The meta-pattern of the village is that it exists as several simultaneous versions of itself, and the instability is highly organized. The observer actually completes the land by looking at it. Therefore, any measurement you take isn't just a record of the dirt and grass, it's a record of your dynamic relationship with the village.
So, the crucial point is, how do we finally resolve this? Let's look at Section 5, the true report.
How on earth do you satisfy the castle administration when the truth is this fluid? The surveyor reads this beautifully written line from his predecessor's notes. The map you make of this place must include you. True objectivity doesn't mean pretending you aren't there. It requires acknowledging your own active role in the systems you are trying to measure. You have to document your own confusion, your presence, and your relationship to the data.
Armed with this, the surveyor takes final, decisive action to close Survey Series 14 provisional after generations of failure. First, he maps the actual discrepancies, charting out the instability itself. Second, he changes the datum, measuring from the land's historical memory instead of flawed paperwork. Third, he crosses the village boundary with purpose, and because he's going to the castle to deliver something real, it suddenly appears right over the next hill. Finally, he submits the true report, closing the loop forever.
But here is the absolute most important takeaway. The surveyor decides to write a supplementary report that totally embraces the messy, complex truth. A clean result does not pretend to be simpler than the place it describes. And this place, it is not simple. He refuses to shave off the weird, irregular edges of reality just to make it fit nicely into a bureaucratic spreadsheet.
So, I want to leave you with this. Think about your own life, your job, your interactions with modern corporate or governmental bureaucracy. How often do you force a complex, messy reality into rigid, simple checkboxes just to satisfy a system? This surreal fiction reminds us that sometimes the most accurate thing we can possibly do is refuse to simplify the truth. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer today. I really hope this completely changed how you look at the maps and the systems in your own life.